In episode 14, Appetite, Tolerance, and Thresholds, we turn to one of the most misunderstood yet essential parts of strategic risk planning, the definition of boundaries. Organizations that succeed at risk management do not eliminate uncertainty. They define how much of it they are willing to live with. Boundaries turn fear into focus. They make it possible to take smart bets without drifting into recklessness. In this episode, we unpack what these three terms truly mean, how they differ, and how professionals translate them into numbers, visuals, and language that decision-makers can use confidently when committing resources. Appetite is the broadest and most philosophical of the three. It expresses how much risk an organization is willing to pursue in order to achieve its objectives. Appetite is not a number, it is a statement of ambition. A company that wants to disrupt a market may accept greater uncertainty than one protecting a regulated utility. The Project Management Institute defines risk appetite as a reflection of culture and strategy. It describes comfort with volatility. The PMI-RMP professional helps leadership articulate this clearly, transforming vague optimism or caution into actionable guidance that project teams can actually interpret. Tolerance lives closer to operations. It defines how much deviation from plan is acceptable before action is needed. Where appetite might describe a general willingness to take risk, tolerance sets measurable bands. How far outcomes can drift from targets before triggering concern. For example, a 5% cost increase might be tolerable, but 10% could demand escalation. Thresholds then provide the final layer, specific trigger points that convert tolerance into action. They mark the exact boundary between monitoring and intervention. Appetite expresses intent, tolerance defines range, and thresholds enforce response. Understanding this hierarchy prevents confusion and aligns control across the enterprise. Risk appetite and tolerance operate across dimensions, not just money. Projects juggle cost, schedule, quality, safety, and reputation, each with its own boundaries. A construction firm may tolerate cost growth but not safety incidents. A technology startup may accept rapid iterations at the expense of stability. The PMI-RMP professional facilitates discussions that prioritize these dimensions, translating values into criteria. Balancing across dimensions ensures that one success, like finishing early, does not create hidden failure, such as degraded reliability. The goal is harmony among constraints, so that one domain's tolerance does not violate another's. Defining these concepts requires both qualitative statements and quantitative ranges. Leadership often begins with words. We are moderately risk-seeking in market expansion, but risk-averse in compliance. The professional's job is to convert those adjectives into measurable indicators, percentages, time windows, or performance bands. Qualitative intent guides human understanding. Quantitative expression enables monitoring. Both are needed. A purely numeric model feels mechanical. A purely narrative one lacks enforcement. The art lies in marrying clarity of numbers with the nuance of language, ensuring that every tolerance statement can be tracked without losing its strategic spirit. Scales must be built in terms leaders and teams actually understand. A well-written appetite statement may fail if its scale feels abstract or detached from daily work. The PMI-RMP professional grounds metrics in familiar frames: cost variance, delivery lead time, defect counts, or satisfaction scores. Calibration should feel intuitive, not academic. When leaders grasp scale intuitively, they make faster, more confident choices. For teams, clarity about what too much looks like reduces anxiety and argument. Simple scales invite conversation. Complex ones invite avoidance. Communication, not calculus, determines success. Historical outcome data anchors boundaries in reality. Reviewing past projects provides context for what variation is normal and what signals stress. A pattern of consistent 5% cost fluctuation might redefine what counts as tolerance rather than failure. Historical benchmarking prevents overreaction to ordinary noise and helps leaders choose appetite levels that match capability. The PMI-RMP professional collects this data, turning anecdotes into analytics. Organizations that calibrate with evidence avoid two extremes: reckless optimism and excessive caution. History, when analyzed honestly, becomes a teacher of proportion and perspective. Visualization transforms abstract concepts into shared understanding. Charts showing acceptable operating envelopes, green for within range, yellow for caution, red for breach, allow quick recognition. Radar diagrams, heat maps, or risk dashboards display tolerance bands visually, connecting policy to practice. These tools communicate boundaries across levels. Executives see strategy alignment, teams see actionable limits. Visualization also normalizes conversation about deviation. It becomes data, not drama. The professional's goal is to make appetite and tolerance as visible as budget and schedule, embedding them into everyday decision dashboards. Multiple stakeholders often hold different comfort levels with the same risk. Executives may value bold moves. Compliance teams may prefer stability. Reconciling these viewpoints requires facilitation, not compromise. The PMI-RMP translates each group's rationale into the same measurement language, exposing where priorities align and where trade-offs exist. Shared scales enable informed negotiation rather than subjective debate. Documenting these discussions transforms disagreement into design, an intentional balance of perspectives that reflects enterprise consensus rather than isolated caution or enthusiasm. Documenting exceptions and escalation rules gives boundaries real teeth. Every tolerance band must specify what happens when exceeded, who gets notified, what decisions follow, and within what time frame. Without these rules, limits remain symbolic. The professional ensures escalation paths are practical and proportionate. For minor breaches, internal adjustment may suffice. For major ones, executive review may be mandatory. Documented logic reduces panic by turning surprise into procedure. Escalation design is the connective tissue between appetite statements and operational behavior, translating philosophy into repeatable action. Appetite directly influences reserve strategy. Financial and schedule reserves represent tangible expressions of tolerance. A high-risk appetite allows leaner reserves. A conservative one demands larger buffers. The professional links these quantities explicitly, ensuring that reserves reflect declared comfort levels rather than arbitrary percentages. When reserves and appetite align, executives trust forecasts more fully. Misalignment, asserting low tolerance while cutting contingency, signals incoherence. The linkage of money, time, and philosophy keeps the system honest, making risk posture visible in budgets and calendars, not just in documents. Boundaries must evolve as conditions change. Appetite and tolerance are living parameters, not one-time declarations. Market shifts, leadership turnover, or project phase transitions alter exposure landscapes. A design phase may tolerate experimentation. Production may not. Regular review sessions ensure boundaries remain relevant. The PMI-RMP professional treats these reviews as feedback loops, adjusting scales based on performance data and environmental signals. Static boundaries become blind spots. Adaptive ones preserve realism. Evolution keeps strategy synchronized with reality's movement. Communicating limits requires nuance, so innovation does not feel strangled. Framing appetite as permission, not restriction, encourages creativity within safe bounds. When teams understand where freedom ends, they explore boldly without fear of crossing invisible lines. The professional reinforces that boundaries protect, not constrain ambition. Clarity liberates focus, ambiguity breeds hesitation. Explaining the why behind limits builds trust, turning risk policy into a shared compact between oversight and innovation. The healthiest cultures treat limits as scaffolding for success, not fences against it. Clarity must precede commitment. Before projects sign contracts, allocate reserves, or announce schedules, everyone should know where the organization's comfort lines lie. Appetite, tolerance, and thresholds transform risk management from reaction to readiness. They make decision-making faster because they make it consistent. When boundaries are explicit, courage and caution coexist productively. The PMI-RMP professional ensures that every promise made rests on quantified confidence, not unspoken hope. Defining limits is not constraint, it is empowerment through transparency. In the landscape of uncertainty, clarity is the most strategic control of all. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit DailyCyber.News.